can ride on the wings of the morning. I can fly to the ends of the sea. I can hide in the sands of forever, but you will keep following me. I can laugh from my ivory tower, making plans for how great I shall be. I can sleep in my dreams of the future. Even there you'll be speaking to me. I can't run away, I can't hide away, I can't find a way from you. It's 8 o'clock on Sunday. Regular crowd shuffles in. There's an old man, he's sitting next to me, making love to his tonic and gin. He said, "Son, can you play me a memory? I'm not really sure how it goes, but it's sad and it's sweet, and I knew it complete when I wore a younger man's clothes. La la la, la la la, la la la, la la la, la la." Sing us a song, you're the piano man. Sing us a song tonight. Well, we're all in the mood for a melody, I hope you are, and you've got us feeling all right. Now John at the bar, he's a friend of mine. He gets me my drinks for free, and he's quick with a joke, or he'll light up your smoke. But there's some place that he'd rather be. He said, "John, I believe this is killing me." As a smile ran away from his face. Oh, I know I could be a big movie star if I could get out of this place. La la la, la la la, la la la, la la la, la la. Sing us a song, you're the piano man. Sing us a song tonight. Well, we're all in the mood for a melody, and you've got us feeling all right. Pretty good crowd for Sunday.
Oh, this is a bit high.
Have you missed
There we
this?
go.
Have you missed this? Have you missed me playing this?
I've missed you, darling.
No, don't, not miss me. Have you missed it?
The piano.
Have you missed it?
They
Out
have.
there.
They're all excited that they're listening
They're all getting
to
all
you.
excited because he's going, oh,
Here he is.
piano
Back
man,
again.
here he is.
We've missed him.
With the wrong cap on. And Dan Bellamy's going to go, where's the hat?
Where's the hat? Well,
The
you've
cowboy
got too
hat.
many to choose from.
I
That's
have.
the problem.
So I decided, but I found this.
Where did you find this,
Well,
Mr.
it's funny you
Veira?
should
Where
ask
did
that,
you find
Sue.
this cap?
I found this because you know we're having the Yeah. Do you know this? We're having the lounge decorated.
I haven't noticed.
Yeah, I know. You don't know this,
noticed.
but she knows it, all right? And the reason we know that is because we've cleared the place for Al, our friend Al Duncan from the community, who has said he wanted... when I suggested that I'd redecorate it, he said, no, please let me do it. Please let me do it. So, I'm not very good with a brush, a roller, paint.
Paint, generally.
Generally. I remember doing my surrogate grandmother's ceiling. I was only about 18, and I used, on the one ceiling, I used 5 litres of paint. I kept painting it and couldn't work out what I was putting. And it was uneven. And she looked up, and she was 98 at the time, I think. She looked up and she said, Johnny, that's terrible.
She was a perceptive woman.
She was, and she realised that my gifting was not in this area.
It was not.
Anyway.
And it still isn't. Anyway, lovely
nice to see you all.
Lovely Al.
What?
Lovely Al is coming in to decorate.
He is.
Which means that, I think he hasn't finished the story yet, which means that the entire contents of our lounge are now in the middle of the room. Which
or
means...
in the kitchen.
Or in the kitchen.
In the studio.
Or
in the West Wing.
However, behind the Bechstein was said cap.
Which was the Daytona. And I want to just say this right away. I've got a friend, sadly, who's not very well at the moment, and he's the one who got it for me. He went to Daytona, and he got me this cap. And I love it. It's one of my favourite.
Should have been wearing
caps.
it last weekend.
I should have done, shouldn't I? I should have. Yes! But we'll talk about that in a minute. For those of you who've been on the tour with us,
yeah, there's
welcome.
A few in tonight.
Are they?
Yeah, they've all said they're enjoying. Billy Joel, believe me, he will finish the song, I promise.
Anyway, it goes like this every week. It's now 8:05, so that's mean I've done 5 minutes and 47 seconds. It's a pretty good crowd for a Sunday.
It is.
And the manager, she gives me a smile. And this is to reveal that she knows that it's me.
Well,
it's quite an egocentric song, this, isn't it? I just realised that. I've sung it for 124 shows.
You've only just realised. It's
over
about
how
you.
many years? 35, 40 years.
That's all about
she,
you.
She knows that it's me. They've been coming to see to the Ghetto Bar's life for a while. Oh, and on the piano it sounds like a carnival, and the microphone it smells like a beer. And they sit at the bar and put bread in my jar and say, man, what are you doing here? La 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 la. Sing us a song, you're the piano man. Sing us a song tonight. Well, we're all in the mood for a melody, and you've got us feeling all right. Dies away. Welcome you back with a lover camera angle. I hope you like that camera angle. To show number 126 it is actually.
Is it really?
As she's just reminded me, Rachel is in tonight, bless her.
Hooray.
And so the technical
Which
stuff will be...
It'll be faultless tonight,
faultless,
not like when I'm
no
doing
pressure.
it.
And we welcome you into the show and into the room. So it's good to be... It's been quite a while, hasn't it?
It's been a while, yes. Everyone's saying it's been a while since they've seen us and since we've seen you, and we are fully functioning again. Sorry we had to cancel the last one. We were just not up to it. It was both of us.
I was ill.
You had your nasty cough and I had my upset stomach, so it was...
oh, yeah. Between the toilet...
it was just...
And not being able to breathe.
It was just better.
Yeah, it was.
Better that we didn't do it.
We
so thank you for your
apologise.
patience and your understanding, but he's in fine form tonight.
Well,
as you
I
can
mean,
tell.
kind of, you know, I'm in summary form, hence the arms, right? Short-sleeved. Just until about 4 minutes ago, before the show, I had my buttons down. Does anybody want to see? Does
No.
anybody? You sure?
No.
Because I could just do one more button. Just one more.
Oh,
All right, Rachel. Everyone's a
thank you,
comedian.
Rachel.
Aren't they? Thank you very much.
Rachel.
All right, I'll leave the button up then. Anyway, how are you doing, guys? How's the JV community doing? And we welcome the newcomers, the new incomers.
We do.
And Sue, talk a little bit about what we were doing. Just that we weren't going to do it at this early
we
point.
weren't going to do it this early, but we just feel compelled to because we had such a lovely time last weekend.
What did we do, Sue?
A few of you saw that we went on a classic car tour. Now, our car is... it's a bit of a naughty teenager. It's not really vintage.
Naughty teenager at the back.
Yes.
But
I have to say, it was the most awesome weekend. I have to say, I was sort of expecting that it would be lots of people with the hoods up on their posh cars.
Talking about their carburetors.
Talking about their carburetors and their pistons and so on. But you know what?
There were a lot of posh people talking about their carburetors.
No, they were just a fabulous group of people, and we had a wonderful weekend. It was just great, and we were very glad that we've done it, and we feel that we've made some good friends. So thank you, those of you who are watching from that particular community.
So we don't
tonight.
feel that we've made some good friends, my love.
We did.
We made some good friends,
did.
and and it was shocking because I didn't think. I mean, although I'm an extrovert. I'm actually an introvert. I quite like...
Yes, you're not sure sometimes
I'm
about
not,
meeting new people.
No,
I understand that.
I'm very
being
nervous.
yourself, actually, and meeting
being
new people.
myself,
That's the situation. If you're singing, you're fine. But actually just being yourself. And
sitting,
it was
talking to people. It was just
lovely.
and I get very nervous about meeting people. So it was away from my normal habit of sitting behind a piano or standing up and singing, which is very different. It was lovely, and there were so many special moments. And actually, what it was this is a kind of a thing for me. It became a thing about community and about
again. It was about community, wasn't it? It was fabulous.
People sought community in it.
They did, and it was fabulous. Lynn and Stan unfortunately broke down in their car.
But Lynn, Stan is wait for this. He spent you saying this? He spent the time in
company of lady somebody from Clear.
We're just going to find out.
Clear or
he's a
something
Winston
like that.
Churchill impersonator,
and
a brilliant one.
He's awfully good at it. But they're a lovely couple, and they
stunning.
broke down at one point. But there were so many people that stayed to help and just to check that they were okay, and they were enjoying it so much that they sent the car away
to
and
London.
They carried on with the tour with us, so that was just fantastic.
The car breaks down, and that's what happens on this time. And we're going 16 cars dating back to 1937, which is unbelievable. Going in these tiny little lanes, literally tiny little lanes in Wales.
Yeah, it was just beautiful.
And it was
Welsh
along the
countryside
coast.
Was just stunning.
Winston was at
beautiful.
Highclere Castle.
That's right.
For a battle proms with Lady Carnarvon and their guests. Had a marvellous time. And I'll show you a picture of them one day.
Yeah.
He is Winston Churchill. And so we welcome people in.
It was just a fantastic weekend. We enjoyed it, and we're very grateful for the people's company. And the tour took us to 3 cathedrals, and that was wonderful.
Brecon, Hereford, Brecon, and St David's. And we finished at St David's. And then we had a private tour.
We did.
When everything was shut down, we then had a private tour because actually Alex, who's arranged the thing, his brother-in-law is actually sub-dean at the cathedral. And then we had a private organ recital, played a bit of Vidor Toccata and I can't remember the other stuff. And then I sung The Lord Bless You and Keep You. We were going to put it on.
just sort of said, could Jonathan sit at the piano? And we were there in this beautiful cathedral, and it was quite dim because they only had the lights on in the choir stalls. And there was something so wonderful about being around the piano and Jonathan singing that beautiful song, The Lord Bless You and Keep You. And we did feel truly blessed, actually.
So it's one of those
lovely.
Surprised by joy. As C.S. Lewis would say.
Absolutely.
Why don't we sing a little bit of Simon and Garfunkel? There we go. On the button tonight is Rachel. Oh yeah. Is this for anybody too? All our friends who we met. How about that? For Lynn, Stan, for Alex, for Stephen, for Bev and Errol. They're going to be coming into the studio as well. I'll tell you about them in a minute. When you're weary, feeling small, when tears are in your eyes, I will dry them all. I'm on your side. Oh, when times get rough and friends just can't be found, like a bridge over troubled waters, I will lay me down, like a bridge over troubled water, I will lay me down. When you're down and out, when you're on the street, when evening falls so hard, I will comfort you. Ooh, I'll take your part. Oh, when darkness comes and pain is all around, like a bridge over troubled waters, I will lay me down, like a bridge over troubled waters, I will lay me down. Sail on, silver girl, sail on by. Your time has come to shine. All your dreams are on their way. See how they shine. Oh, if you need a friend, I'm sailing right behind, like a bridge over troubled waters. I will ease your mind, like a bridge over troubled waters, I will ease your mind. And this is all the people on the tour who are watching tonight. We loved it.
We did.
And this is from all the backing tracks are from all of my albums. These are all that you can purchase online. This is from this Raise Me Up album from 2010, when it was much easier to sing at that level. I'm so sorry about that.
The voice is going down south, darling.
Oh, that's
And
nice.
deeper, I meant.
That's so nice. You see, this is what I have to contend with. Your voice is going down south, darling. You see, can I just say, right, this is going. What I should do is I should just say that actually this is a lesson in encouragement.
Not.
How to encourage your husband.
Ah.
The phrase, your voice is going down south.
I meant
When you
getting
say
deeper.
down south, now Brighton, it could be Brighton, Or it could be the Deep South.
The Deep South.
We don't like the Deep South generally, do we? Although we liked when we went down to the Deep South, we did Nashville.
Yeah, we did. We enjoyed
and
that.
They were mighty friendly, I think.
They were.
But you know what they're like. It's
Anyway.
kind of, they smile and...
What are you doing next?
What I'm going to do is I'm going to do this one.
Oh, yes, we like this one.
I haven't sung this for years.
Yeah, we heard this on the radio and we thought this is one he should do.
And I'll tell you a story about this. Here we go, so listen. The guy singing this, what was his name? Lead singer of the Eagles. Mm-hmm. He was on a radio show talking about it just the other day. And he said when he came to record it years ago back in the 70s, because this is the album from the 70s, it was the, I can't remember which album it was from the Eagles. And he said the producer took them to London because he wanted a symphony back. So we went down to the Abbey Road Studios, Abbey Road Studio 1, which I've recorded quite a lot in. And it's the Beatles one, remember the famous picture. And it's the most fantastic studios, outstanding, legendary. And you go in there, it's massive, and the London Symphony Orchestra string section was there. And it was that back in the day, it was only men, And they were serious classical musicians. And this guy came in who was about 23, 24.
Singing this.
Guy with a raspy voice and Desperado. And he said, I heard people, he said, I was so nervous. He said, I was so nervous to know what to do. And I've been in this position when they don't know who you are, and they're going, well, who's this?
John Henley. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, John Henley, and he was there recording this, and suddenly he heard comments about, well, listen to that, it's terrible, isn't it? You can't do this and you can't do that, and he had to sing in front of them live back in the day. There was no putting him in a book, but he could hear the comments. I could hear
that they were criticising him.
So he said, I recorded it, and the version is what it is.
Yes.
He said, now I can sing it, so I'm going to sing it now. So some 40 years later, he's out there
singing it beautifully.
Singing it with just a band. And I thought, anyway, here we go.
Go.
Desperado, why don't you come to your senses? Down from your fences, it's so long now. You're a hard one, but I know you've got your reasons. These things that are pleasing you will hurt you somehow. Don't you draw the queen of diamonds, boy. She'll beat you if she's able. The queen of hearts is always your best bet. Well, it seems to me some fine things have been laid upon your table, but you always want the things that you can't get. Desperado, oh, you ain't getting no younger. Your pain and your hunger, they're driving you home. Oh, and freedom is just some people talking. You're a prisoner walking through this world all alone. And don't your feet get cold in the wintertime? The sun won't show and the sun won't shine. It's hard to tell the nighttime from the day. You're losing all your highs and lows. Ain't it funny how the feeling goes away? Desperado, why don't you come to your senses? Come down from your fences and open the gate. It may be raining, but there's a rainbow above you. You better let somebody love you. You better let somebody love you. You better let somebody love you before it's too late.
That was good to hear again. Very good to hear again.
Please remove.
Just move your keyboard.
What? This one?
Camera. Yeah, you've pushed it round a bit.
That way?
Yeah, that's about right.
That better?
Yeah, that's better.
Well, there's a song. And I think, actually, a bit more music. Actually, it's the More Music JV show here tonight, and it's just around the bend. Thank you very much. New song we wrote with Paul Field, the Song of Optimism. I hope that we're getting close to that now. And that we're out of this funk that we're in. I know the world is a difficult place, and that life is tough, but there's always optimism around the corner, I think. That's what we learned this weekend. Been a long time traveling down this hard and rocky road. We're all just trying to survive, walking together and sharing the load, doing all we can to stay alive. I believe the journey's nearly over. I believe these troubled times will end. I believe we'll find a better place just around the bend. Yeah. We may be weary, and sometimes we just don't know how we can keep on keeping on. Take one day at a time and trust that history will show. When we're united, we are strong. I believe the journey is nearly over. I believe these troubled times will end. I believe we'll find a better place just around the bend. So take care of each other, for we all need a hope that heals, a love that mends. Even when the darkness is as far as we can see, the sun will shine again somewhere just around the bend. Come on, play, guys. I love this little bit of instrumental. I love this sentiment, it's so great, isn't it? This one, here it goes. So take care of each other, for we all need a hope that heals, a love that mends. Even when the darkness is as far as we can see, the sun will shine again somewhere just around the bend. I believe the journey's nearly over. I believe these troubled times will end. I believe we'll find a better place just around the bend. just around the bend. I believe we'll find a better place. Just around the bend. Just around the bend. Thank you very much.
And I'm going to dedicate that one to Lee Trenchard. Lee, it's your birthday yesterday, and it was the big O, I think, was yesterday.
20?
Big 60,
30.
maybe.
Oh.
Anyway, happy birthday for yesterday, but also I want to say hope is just around the bend, because you no longer have those lorries and trucks mending the road outside your house.
Which is just not far from us.
Just around the bend from us. So,
exactly.
Lee, happy birthday for yesterday.
And can I also add this one for Carol Wadsworth, who is just, every now and again, Carol, you post sad pictures about the past when you can't do what you could do. You went out to a music event, I think, the other day, which is, you love music, I know you do. And life is it's been continually tricky for you. Yeah. With an ill husband, you've got your own health is not great, and you're such the most genuinely loyal follower for us since we've done 126 shows now, and over these 3 years, it's been quite extraordinary to see how you've managed and kept going. You send us little gifts every now and again, you're a very special woman. So we send love out to Carol.
We do.
It can be quite a lonely place for people, and that we realise that. Anyway, do you know what?
Next?
I do fancy a bit of a video. I've been singing for 30 minutes now and chatting away, and I want the
country and western.
Country and western. I like this one. I was watching back in the day. Just to tell you, back in the day.
Doing 5-bar gates on that.
I know we're going to. Back in the day, it's the same one as. Can you just write to me quickly? All right. Now we're just doing it. Just send me the phrases. You don't have to talk about it. Just send me a phrase, a little cliche that you most hate. Me, I think at the end of the day is mine. The end of the day.
The end of the day.
Right, that's mine. So write it in now. Write in. Sue's going to write them down quickly. While we're watching this video, and this goes back to when I could do this actually live. I tried doing it live the other day, and I forgot it, but I was really good back.
Yes, you got back
in the day. Let's watch this one. Country and western. Country and western. Howdy, y'all. Now I have to tell you that I was not always an opera singer, as you have known, and I started my life listening to country and western. We used to have one of those. I remember these huge, the radio things. You know those ones? They weren't just the. You know what I'm talking about, don't you? Around about the 60s, you remember. And they weren't so much record players and music centres. They were canoes. These things you could sail down. Oh, you could. We did eventually. We got rid of it, and. There we are, and we had one of those, and I just remember all these songs being played on there. And one of the songs that I listened to, was a song that was written by a guy called W.C. McCall. Now, any of you may remember, "Come boy, it was dark of the moon with the 6th of June. It was dark of the moon with the 6th of June, with a Kenworth full of blood. Campbell with Pete with a reefer on, and Jimmy hauling hogs. We were headed for beer, and I went about a mile out of Shaky Town. I said, Big Ben, this here rubber duck, I'm about to put the hammer down." That one there. I feel in a very special way that I've left you all out. So you're up for booking late, really, isn't it? And this was his second big hit, and it was called by W.C. McCall, "Trying to Buy a Pickup Truck on the Cheap." Classic title. Anyway, this song, "I'm trying to buy a pickup truck on the cheap." And it's difficult, okay? So just bear with me here. And it goes like this. I'll wait till you're finished. I'm a tasty little player, that's me. I was thumbing through the want ads in the Shelby County Tribune when this classified advertisement caught my eye.
It said take immediate delivery on the 47 half-ton Chevy pickup truck. We'll sell that swell for a higher bid and $35. Well, one parole ring too, and ask for Bob. Well, I phoned Bob up on the telephone. He says, hello, this is Bob speaking. I said, this is your Bob, got a pickup truck for sale? He says, yeah. I says, where are you? He says, 14 East in County 12, turn right in the woman named Gravel Road. You can park the yard, beware to die, wipe your feet up, knock 3 times, your finger bill roll. Well, I tuned on the East on County 12, turn right in the woman named Gravel Road, and I parked in the yard, and German Shepherd came after got hold of my leg. Well, I knocked 3 times and wiped before the dog let go, the string door open. Out comes Bob, says, what you want? I says, come see about your truck. He says, follow me. Come on, Frank. Well, the dog's name is Frank. Well, we all went past the chicken house, through the hog pen, past the tracker shed, wound up back in the barn and field of cow pies. And sitting right there in a pool of grease was a half-ton Chevy pickup truck with a license plate saying Moby Dick and a roller box full of rusty parts. And Bob looks at me and he says, well, what do you think? Well, I kicked the tire and got in the seat and sat in a petrified apple core, found a bunch of field mice living in the glove compartment. He says the shaft is bent, the rear end list. You can fix it quick with an oil or rag. Use a nail side of I lost the key, don't pay no mind that whirring sound. She needs little Lord, I said that she's cherry. I said, what'll it take? She said, what have you got? I said, $28.50. Says, you got a deal, sign here. Oh, go get the pen, hold gas. Well, I put nails, slide, and started her off. She cuffed and buffed up a bunch of smoke. Now back to right through the hog pen into the yard. Well, Frank jumped in and bit my leg, and I beat him off with a crowbar. He jumped on out, the door fell off, and the left front tire went flat. I jacked it up and packed the tube, and Frank pissed my shirt off. Then Bob came out, called him off, said, you better get on out of here. On West and East and County 12, to the left of the one they gravel road. Came out to Bill's place. I said, Bill, this is my new truck. What do you think? He said, you have been done. Bam, 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 bam. That's it.
These are the moments that we love so well, precious moments caught within a spell. All too soon our lives, they fade away. These are the moments that we wish would stay. And if I had my life to live again, I would choose to be with you, my friend. Time moves slowly, yet it goes so fast. And who knows how long the days will last. So cherish deep within you the love you get today. Let the moment linger, for tomorrow steals that away. Tomorrow steals that away. Come on, play it for us, Brent. That we made so lives like stories that we long to tell. When we're old with not too much to say, we'll have the memories that we made today. We'll have the memories that we made today. A beautiful song by Bryn Howarth for my second lockdown album called Moments. Beautiful. And he gave it to me. Remember that? Those of you who don't know it, he gave that in a song.
It's a beautiful song, and I know it's a favourite of so many of you in the community, but it's for two particular people. The Chivers, for Chris and Alan Chivers. You were 52 years old together yesterday, and so happy anniversary for yesterday, I think it was. So happy anniversary, and that one is for you because it describes your life so much. And also for dear Peter Day, who sadly lost his mum this week, and I know that this was one that would really mean a lot to you. And it's those moments, isn't it? So we think of you and how difficult this journey is for you, losing your mum. And for so many of you, it's
dear
the
Peter.
Moments that you suddenly look back on and you think, oh gosh, that was special.
And I think actually that we just want to say that because we experienced that moment, and I think it's some of those moments going down into the woods. I know Alex, who organised this tour and actually wrote this instruction. Sue was my
I was navigating
left. It was all that kind of going. And imagine 16 cars, as I said, going back. Alex's own car is a Jag going back to. You'll have to write in and remind me. 42, I think it is something 42, 55. White, massive car, beautiful, and so many. There was one called an Alvis, which many people might know, not Elvis, but Alvis, and another one of those beautiful, sensational-looking cars. Stephen, who was driving an MG Roadster, and then an MG. Was it a GT? And then was also a midget MG, so a tiny little thing, and that was.
You do realise that you're now talking a different language to quite a few people.
Oh no, sorry, you're quite right. But so many cars, and we were going down, and there were moments down as we were driving down into the woods. I thought, I'll never forget this. Great big potholes.
And it's those moments you look back on them. I had, for many of you, you know that my mum has dementia. And she sometimes recognises me. She's not too sure whether I'm her sister. And today I took my son Dan in with me to see her. And at one point, it was a lovely moment. She looked at him and she'd already been told who he was, but she obviously couldn't hold that. And she looked at him and she said, "I don't know who you are, but I really think you're gorgeous." Yeah. It was just lovely. And then she turned to him and she said, "This one," meaning me, "is very special." And
you don't know what that means, do you?
That for me was just so beautiful because so often she doesn't recognise me, or I can tell she's not too sure. So,
but she doesn't know who you are necessarily.
No, but to have that accolade was just
the moment.
Very special. It was a moment.
Taking it in the moment.
It was
actually
a very special moment.
And the same thing happened. I saw my dad, who it was a good visit, and he saw me and he went, "Oh, it's you," in a way that normally I don't get that.
No.
And it was those little moments you take as wins. The other thing that was a win for us was Friday, Saturday morning.
Yes.
So Friday, Dan, my middle son, came down from Bath. That was great to see him. And he came down, helped me empty the shed, because it was just too much for me these days. And he helped me to empty the shed and go down to the dump. It was a massive affair. And a lot of rubbish to go, and he helped me then. And then we had the children, we had the grandchildren, and we took them down to Littlehampton for the day.
We did.
And it was just wonderful. It took me back, and I said to my son, to Matthew, they're his children, and I said, "I'm sorry, I don't have the energies that I had when I used to take you." But it took me back to when we had the children. You must have thought that as well. And all those
I said to Dan as we were walking up the beach, I said, "Oh, I've got a picture of you sitting on that breaker there." and I was putting your shoes on, dressing you because it got cold whilst you were swimming.
Exactly. And I remember that very beach from 1964 when I went as a 4-year-old boy with my Uncle Ted.
And there was, in the car going down, we decided to keep the girls occupied by doing a game with them and, writing a list of things out to look for. And one of the things that I put on the list fairly early on was a squirrel. And we never did see this squirrel. But Jonathan, for the entire journey, kept saying, "Oh, I've seen a squirrel, I've seen a squirrel."
And
the girls
were
Grandad. Just killing themselves laughing because they knew that Grandad had not seen a squirrel.
And then when I tucked her into bed at night, because they stayed the night, and they stayed for the first time they stayed in together. And I tucked them into bed, and I sung "You Are My Sunshine," and she likes that. And I said, the last thing I said to her was, "I saw that squirrel." She said, "No, you didn't." Which her eyes were practically closed from tiredness. But it's those, I'm saying,
it's finding
grasp
those
the moment.
moments,
Whatever that moment is.
And enjoying them when you can.
When you can. I just want to also say
they feed your soul for later.
A big happy birthday. I didn't realise, but Alex,
and it was Ben's birthday.
It was yesterday.
So Ben was yesterday, Alex was
Ben
today.
Ben and Katie, wasn't it?
Ben and Katie. So congratulations, Ben for yesterday, Alex for today.
It's extraordinary. And there's a hymn that I'm going to sing, actually, for Alex. This one, we rest on it, because it was to Finlandia, the tune. And I recorded this on my album, Hymns Project 2, and it opens the album. It's a long song, so sit back and relax. We've got our special guest coming in at 9 o'clock, and with his new book, which is called Called to Serve and Protect. I like to call him the Chief Superintendent. Of course, he is superintendent down in Derbyshire. A great man, John. A real character from Derbyshire. Lives on a 138-acre farm, and we can't wait for him to come on and talk again about his life and his faith as well. So it'll be quite fun. Anyway, he'll tell the story, I'm sure. Here we go. Rest on you, oh we rest on you, our shield and our defender. We go not forth alone against the foe. Strong in your strength, safe in your keeping, tender. We rest on you, and in your name we strong in your strength, safe in your keeping, tender. We rest on you, and in your name we go. Yes, in your name, O Captain of salvation. In your dear name, all other names above. Jesus, our righteousness, our sure foundation, our Prince of glory, and our King of love. Our righteousness, our sure foundation, our Prince of glory, and our King of love. We go in faith, faith, our own great weakness feeling, and needing more each day your grace to know. Yet from our hearts a song of triumph pealing, we rest on you, and in your name we go. Yet from our hearts a song of triumph pealing, we rest on you, and in your name we go. We rest on you, our shield and our defender. Yours is the battle, yours shall be the praise. When reigning in the kingdom of your splendor, victors we rest with you through endless days. When reigning in the kingdom of your splendor, victors we rest with you through endless days. We rest on you. And that is particularly for David Airy,
Yes,
who asked for
good
this one. Good to
suggestion,
see David.
Good suggestion.
It's been a long song, 6.5 minutes that lasts.
Oh, but you sang
and what
it
we can talk about,
beautifully.
Sue, can you read for me, please, the Val Hollier?
Right, okay, let me
I
find it.
don't know whether she's going to be here, and it's not really relevant whether she is. Now, Val is a member of the community, and she wrote to Sue something which I just thought actually needed recognition, something that was very moving, and I hope she can find it now. It's just basically, she goes in and she does hospital radio in her local town, and she often tells us online when she's going to do it, and on Facebook and whatever, and lets people know. And it's really an encouragement if every now and again you could just let her know that you know what's going on. Here it is, Sue.
Yes, Val sent me this lovely little amazing story, actually. She said
In a small way.
Yes, and she said that she was doing a request show tomorrow at the hospital, covering for a colleague who was in hospital, and he'll be there for about 4 weeks or more, because actually what happened was that he didn't turn up to the studio on the Thursday night, and she was worried about him, so she rang him, and turned out he'd been on the floor since 2 p.m. the day before. He suffered a stroke, and so she was able to sort it out for him. And the ambulance people came in, and they had to climb in through the window, I think, or something. Yes, a fireman was climbing through the window. Thankfully, he'd left the bedroom window open, so they were able to get to him. But the point was that she felt a bit concerned about him, and she turned that concern into just a simple phone call. And actually, that simple phone call saved that man's life. So
Didn't you say that's exactly what?
Yeah, she said that. She said basically, I saved his life. So the point is that she just did something very simple. And you know that we talk about these little unremembered acts of kindness. And this was one of them, that she just simply rang a friend because she was worried that he would normally be in the studio and he wasn't. And so she wanted to check out on him to see if he was okay, and he wasn't, and she was able to help and be part of that process of getting him into hospital and getting him sorted. And that was a lovely thing that she did, a remarkable thing that she did. And yet it actually started as a very simple thing of her being concerned. So these things are not wasted. So when you do what you do, which we know you do, that you ring people, that you just connect with people, and that you give each other time, you share with one another on the community about things that are not going right for you, or things that have given you a problem. And immediately there will be one or two people who will step up and say, if you want to chat about it, then why don't you? So
I think it's lovely. A lovely thing.
That's
and
lovely.
It's what we celebrate in this community more than anything else, little acts of unremembered kindness. And it goes into YGAF really, in a sense.
Yes.
This is part of why You've Got a Friend Trust, the charity, those of you who don't know, that we run through this this evening. It helps people in ways. You have raised so many thousands of pounds through your concern and your love for people, just in small ways. When you give £1, £5, £10, £20, doesn't matter. It sustains itself by your concern for others in a practical way. And if you have £1 that you'd like to give, then please do. We don't care if it's 50p, give it. And then that helps to, I think there are 54, Adrian might write in and correct me here, but there are about 54 grants that have been made, from large grants to small grants, from taxi rides to new beds, to new prams, to new beds, to whatever. It's just a great thing. And you were looking, did something come up there?
Yes, just someone saying that she had a phone call when she shared that someone had died. Someone from the community rang her, which is lovely. Absolutely lovely.
It's what we do for each other.
Yeah. So
and it's so lovely.
And
so to that. Well, we want some notices because we want to get John into this room, because sooner rather than later. I think, we do that, and then we'll have the after that we'll do. This is a program that we're making up as we go along, as
you hadn't
usual.
Noticed.
And we'll have a video after the notices for Chris. Some of you have got. I'll try and get towards the back end of the show, and halfway through the interview, I'll do another song and all that kind of stuff. But we're going to get into it. So, Sue, adverts, please.
I will do my notices. Thank you very much.
Oh, one thing before you do. What were your most hated things?
Oh, lots. Too many to say. My personal and everyone's seen them. My personal favourite is With Great Respect, which means no respect whatsoever.
Yes, that does.
So here we have the list of the remaining concerts. As we can see, we've done the one in July. What we've got coming up is our 2-week stint at Thornley Hotel, Grange over Sands. I think there are perhaps 1 or 2 places left for that. So we do a week. It says a music week. Well, it's just a week with JV and Sue, to be quite honest. Whatever we might do, we're not too sure, but it'll have a wonderful time.
And it will keep changing, I'm sure.
And it will keep changing. So we look forward to seeing so many people. Then, in the middle weekend, Jonathan's doing his one-man show at Victoria Hall in Grange over Sands. So please come along to, at some point.
That's the busiest 2 weeks of my
yes,
life,
it is.
I think,
yes, absolutely. And so then in September, at the end of September, on the 23rd, we're going to be up in Stoke-on-Trent. On the 7th of October, we're going to be in Fordingbridge. And then at the end of October, we're going to be in Stoneleigh at St John's Church. And then we've got 2 or 3 in November and December. So we've got Christmas with JV at Chesterfield, St John's Walton Chesterfield. And then the following 2 weeks, we've got Christmas with JV in Pett in Hastings and Christmas with JV at Christchurch and St Paul's in Paynton. If you want to know,
we're waiting for one in Bude as well.
Yes, we're hoping we'll get to Bude. So if you want to know anything about any of those, then you need to go on to www.jonathanveira.com, and that will give you the calendar and how to book tickets and so on. You will not want to miss JV live, because he is awesome. If you think he's good online, you have to be in the presence of the voice in the room to know how amazing it is. And also, if you are somewhere and you think, actually, we'd quite like to be interested in having Jonathan come to our church, don't delay, write to me, and I would be very happy to talk to you about how you can put him on, how you can get the show going, and so on. So just keep me informed. So let's go and have a think about the Steinway dates. So we will be sorry. People have said so is annoying, and Jonathan pulled me up about that a while ago. So just as he is going to stop saying
back in the day,
I shall try to stop saying so. we have Ben Casey joining us on the 13th of August.
Very good.
And we will enjoy chatting to him because he's a fount of all knowledge about things space. So we will look forward to him, which will be great. Then in September, we have the lovely Bryn joining us on the 10th of September.
Start the term off.
Start the term off. And Sue Rinaldi, hopefully, will
on the 1st.
Be with us.
On the 1st of October.
17th, we got no one at the moment.
No, but we
right?
have, there's a plan.
Okay, fine. There's a plan. Apparently, there's a plan.
Oh, yeah.
That
And
would be a first.
just 1 second while we're talking about this,
Okay.
which is that one of the people on the time away with us is, if you remember the song Body Talk, Body Talk, or Imagination, just the band Imagination.
All right, Just an Illusion.
Just an Illusion, which was a massive hit for them.
Errol was the
Number
drummer.
2, he was the drummer and the co-writer of the songs. So he and his wife, Bev.
Lovely wife, Beth.
Bev, not Beth. Bev, we're planning to get them in this autumn season, and
Yes.
big stars. He was and
he's a lovely man. Just
lovely
a lovely man.
guy.
So that would be fantastic. Next, we are going to talk about how to join the. Oh no, we're going to do. You're right. This bit. So, sorry.
One.
If you wish to subscribe to the YouTube channel, which you will want to, if you are not already a member of the YouTube clan, then you just need to subscribe, because what that will get you is every time something new goes up on YouTube, and there's an awful lot that's going up on YouTube at the moment about Jonathan, you will want to subscribe because you will get an instant notification. It will cost you nothing. But the benefit to us, if we can hit that 1,000 mark, and we are tantalizingly close to it, we just need another 45 or something, and then we will hit the 1,000 mark. Is that right? And so just make sure you subscribe. There's new stuff going out. And can I just ask, if you are enjoying these ones that Rachel puts out on the, well, it's the
YouTube.
interviews. It's the interviews that go out on YouTube. Then you will want to let her know what you think of them, because she works so hard for us doing all this technical stuff. So please let her know how much you're enjoying the interviews that she's putting out, because she has worked so hard to get them together. That's it. Jonathan Veira, YouTube. And if you want to write to me, I'm on sue@jonathanveira.com, and I will answer all your various questions about Jonathan, about hosting a show, about how you can buy a CD, whatever question you've got, write to me at sue@jonathanveira.com. And the www.jonathanveira.com is the place for the calendar, which will give you all the information about the shows, but also the shop, which will tell you all about the CDs, the books, and everything that we got available. So you can order through that, and it will be fantastic.
What's coming next?
Sorry, what's happening next? Oh, yes, the away day. The away day. We are going away on the 15th of November, and we are almost full, which is exciting. But there are 1 or 2 places left. We will be letting you know next month how to pay, how much to pay, and how to pay. So don't forget, 15th of November, we are at St Catherine's Parmore for our wonderful retreat house with Stuart McCready, and we'll have some guests with us. We are going to have a wonderful time together, meeting up with people within the community, which is fantastic. And we are so looking forward to that, because we often talk about how nice it will be to meet up, and this is a great opportunity to do so. We will now stop that, I think.
We're going
I think we're going to go
straight into.
I
think actually
video
for Oh Happy Day.
Exactly.
Thank you very much. Oh happy day. Oh happy day. Oh happy day. Happy day, oh happy day, when Jesus washed, when my Jesus washed, when my Jesus washed my sins away. Oh happy day, He taught me how
to watch and pray. Sing it, babe. And live rejoicing every day. Two ladies there clapping, is that lovely? The rest of you are moving, are you? Oh, happy day. Come on, clap your hands. Oh, happy day. When Jesus washed. When my Jesus washed. When my Jesus washed. Wash my sins away. Oh, happy day. He taught me how to watch. Oh, watch and pray. Watch and pray. And live rejoicing every day. Oh, every day. Sing it, oh, happy day. Oh, happy day. Sing it. Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day. Oh, now, Bobby. Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day. When Jesus washed. When my Jesus washed. When Jesus washed. Wash my sins away. Oh, such a happy, happy day. Now we're gonna go. 1, 2, 3, 4, oh, good day. It's such a happy day. My Jesus washed my sins away. Come on. Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day. My Jesus washed my sins away. Let's celebrate the happy day. Let's celebrate the happy day. Come on, let's celebrate the happy day. Ooh. The happy day. The happy day. The happy day. Come on. The happy day. The happy day, last time. Celebrate the happy day. Here we go. Celebrate the happy day. Come on, celebrate the happy day. Come on, celebrate the happy day. Well, that was a happy day. I remembered it, well, I put my glasses on because I want to see John, because I can't see him otherwise. I think my cataracts are gone and I need something done quickly, otherwise I can't see the beautiful John Bown. There he is, right the way in Derbyshire, right? Thee and thou and therefore art thou. How art thou, John? How are you? Oh, evening all. Oh, look. Oh, don't get old Dixon and Doc Green on me, sonny. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes,
Yeah,
and we can hear you, and we can see you in that room that we love so well. That is just a bit. How you doing, John? What's happening with you?
Oh, it's been very, very busy, to be honest. The book was published on the 21st of July. I was at Radio Sheffield on that day. And the next day, when I looked at Amazon book sales, I'd gone into the top 100 for my genre. In terms of books, that was all sorts associated with police, prison, including novels and the like. So that didn't stay there very long, but it was quite encouraging.
Hey, can I just say, it doesn't have to stay long. I had a number 1 hit once, right? And on the iTunes chart, it stayed for 2 weeks. That 2 weeks, I've taken a photograph of it. You live with it for those 2 weeks. It's another thing. Here's the book, just so that people. I'm going to put it up to the camera here.
Okay, there it is, to serve and protect. Called to serve and protect. And I can tell you from personal experience, first of all, to say about this man that him and his lovely wife Margaret are probably just one of the nicest couple of people that you could hope to meet. I can't say any more than that, apart from to say we stay with them very often when we're coming up in Christmas to Derbyshire, and we're staying with them then in their little 14th century barn house, and they always give such a warm welcome. John, I'm so intrigued that here you are. I think people need to know how old you are so that we get a kind of perspective of the things that you're doing still. How old are you now?
Well, I'll be 80 in November.
Right, and so you're 80,
I'm just writing my first novel at the moment, so,
Right.
life begins at 80.
Well, it does for you, and you came back, you were just preaching tonight, was that right?
That's right, and I first preached there, I guess, in around 1960, 1959, 1960, and on and off I've been preaching there ever since. It's an historic place, it's called the Ragged School, and it was part of the Ragged School movement, and, it's Christians.
What was that? Tell me about that. What was that?
It was Christians providing free education, so it was a school originally set up by Christian people, but an act of worship as well. It's listed in the history of churches in Chesterfield. It was good, and I sold 5 books, by the way, while I was there.
5 books.
Yeah.
So what are you down to now? Now you've had your print. Are you counting them out in the garage?
Well, I've had 25 as part of the contract, and then I've bought another 50. I mean, just how many they do in a print run, I'm not sure. I did see a statistic on something to do with Google that suggested that perhaps they printed 20,000, but I mean, I don't really know.
Not usually.
I won't know until about March of next year, because they do it on a supply and return. So if they don't sell them, they return them. So the publishers don't really know how many until they reach that cut-off date and they get the books back. But I noticed on Amazon that they have been replenishing their stock on a number of occasions, so that's quite encouraging, to be honest. But the object of the exercise is to tell the story, and on the 2 interviews I've had, Radio Sheffield and Radio Derby, it's been wonderful because I've been able to really talk very openly about my faith, and it went down really well, to be honest.
And actually, John, just say those that are joining now and that haven't been part of this community, John has been, well, you've been with us more or less from the beginning, I think.
Yes, right from the beginning, yeah.
So that was in March, April 2020. And
go on.
No, it's just to say that you were a member of this community for that long, and you came on before and talked about your life, and people were fascinated by your life and the life that you've had. Just tell us a little bit about that life, because you've had so many iterations, and I love the fact that at 80, here you are, you and Margaret, you're still as hospitable as ever. That's one of your ministries. You go and pray for people in the marketplace in Chesterfield. You do things that actually are quite outrageous, but you're very well read. You're a Methodist lay priest. Is that correct?
Well, I was. Yeah, I preach now mainly in the Anglican churches, but
you can be forgiven for that.
I qualified as a Methodist lay preacher. Yeah.
But your job, and the whole point about this book, to serve and called to serve and protect, and I like the word called. That was interesting in itself.
Yeah. I'll tell you a little story about that. It's just come to me because of the publicity about the book. Someone got in touch with me, and they said they remembered that at the beginning of their probation and training course back in 1992, when I was head of training for the Derbyshire Police, I did the opening address. And this young man, well, he ain't young now, he's done 30 years and retired. He said it was memorable for him because he was a committed Christian. He was being called to be a policeman. But on the other hand, 3 weeks before he came up for his course, someone spoke in his church who was a former Met police officer, who said that being in the police force and being a Christian was incompatible. And he said, so I found it interesting that when you opened the course, the first thing you said was that you'd been a policeman for X number of years because God called you to be a policeman and that it was a good calling. And so he said, my doubts and fears disappeared. And he said, I've done my 30 years and retired, and I'm now one of the leading lights in street passes in Derby. So that was really quite encouraging, really. Yeah, I mean, God called me to be a policeman. And I think that's entirely compatible with being a Christian. Let's face it, we're supposed to be the salt and light. And if the police are doing their job properly, and they aren't always, of course, but if they're doing it properly, aren't they, in turn, being salt and light? They're trying to make a better, safer, fairer society. That's what I thought I was doing anyway.
I mean, that's quite that in itself in these, let's say, challenging days for the police nationally.
Yeah.
In forces all across the country, they're having all kinds of problems of mainly, and it is a question. It comes down, it seems to me, I'm going to be very bold and be out there. It is a question of integrity at the heart of all of this. It is the question of integrity in the police force. Cover-ups, I mean, to be fair, is happening in the NHS as well, and in public service and in government all the time, as we see recently with Boris Johnson and the like. But within the police, there was always this thing, wasn't there, John, that if you went to the police as a child, you were told that the policeman would treat you fairly, and that was it. The policeman would come into the school, wouldn't they? And they would do.
If you get lost, find a policeman, and they'll help you out.
Yeah. And
so it's not been the case sometimes. I mean, there's been major problems, hasn't there, in terms of the behaviour of police towards particularly women. And the misogyny and the racism that exists. The thing is, of course, if we've got that in society and we're recruiting from society, then we're going to get policemen like that, aren't we? We can't put them a uniform on and expect them to turn into saints. It doesn't work like that, does it? And in fact, it might be worse because they're given power and authority over other people. And, you have to use that power with great care, and training them and bringing about changes in attitude is very important. In the 2 interviews I did on local radio, there was it asked me a lot of questions about, the problems of policing today. And I think too often organisational change, that the people who've been leading it have talked about creating an organisation with structures, and the structures would do the right thing. But the reality is they change the structure, but if you don't change the person that's in the organisation, then it's not going to change, is it? Because what we do is conditioned by what we believe, our values, our standards, and our attitudes. And if those are wrong, you can have all the structures in the world, you can have all the rules and regulations in the world. We're going to refer to type if we're under stress, aren't we? And that's part of the problem. We have to deal with attitudes. We have to bring about this behavioural change. In my training, both in the UK and overseas, we worked on the model that training had only properly taken place when behaviour had been changed, and that person could illustrate changed behaviour. And that's what we need to do.
I mean, can I say you could sit on any subcommittee in the House of Parliament right now? You could answer an awful lot of the questions. I do think there's this kind of searching, isn't there, constantly now for purpose within an organisational structure. They're trying to find a tinkering at the edges, but the actual body of what is necessary is what you're saying. That what you believe will inform the way you do your job.
It's not rocket science, is it? We do what we believe. We are what we believe.
Yeah. So how did that go down when you were in the force? Because you must be retired some years now. In the force back in that day, don't tell me how long, because it would be too depressing.
At various stages, there were big problems. When I was in the CID in the 70s, Sir Robert Mark coined the expression that the CID in the Met was institutionally corrupt. And I remember collecting a prisoner from the police station in Soho, and I stayed overnight there to bring the prisoner back the next day. And the detectives took me out on the town, and we went into some of the nightclubs in Soho. I'd rather have not gone, to be honest, but they were taking me, so I didn't have much choice. And when we went in, person behind the counter gave the police money to spend whilst they were in there. So they were actually in the pockets of the people running the nightclubs in those days. I wouldn't say that it was like that in the provinces. It wasn't. What was more better known in the provinces was noble cause corruption, where detectives were inclined to tell lies and to say that a person had confessed something when they hadn't. And I
So
found myself...
false convictions, basically.
Yeah, they believed the person to be guilty, and they didn't have the evidence to prove it, so would go around finding a different way to get them found guilty, which is not justifiable in my book, and it put me in conflict with the detective inspector to the extent that every time I went in with a prisoner, he used to have a flaming argument with me, but you have to stand up and be counted, don't you?
I think it becomes that thing. I've said to Sue, there are things that, the very stones will cry out. If you don't say something when you need to, the time for it runs by, it goes, and you can't say it again. And actually, they're watching. I think people are watching. They're watching us. They're actually saying, you say this, how are you going to behave when this happens? They want a red line. They do want. Society is desperate for a red line. It's desperate. So when you give it, go on.
They're looking for integrity. I mean, don't say it, but that's what they're looking for. And you've got to earn respect, haven't you, by acting in integrity, in a way that is appropriate and right, and it's not always easy when sometimes you're surrounded by things that are opposite to what you think or believe. But if I was called to be a policeman, so through the good times and the bad times, that was right, and it worked out. In the event, the guy, that detective inspector, moved me sideways onto the special branch, and I was really concerned at that time because I didn't have time to preach as much as I used to do, because I had a weekend off every 4 weeks, and often I'd get involved in a case on the Friday, and then I had to get a substitute. And I had the time searching for the Lord more, and I prayed, and God instructed me really to give more days for the plan. And then I got a sideways move onto the special branch out of the blue, where I got every Sunday off. God just opened the door, and he moved me out of the way of the TI that I couldn't get on with. And then I got promoted from there. So in my sermon this evening, I've been talking very much about how things work together for good and how bad things can lead to good things. I was preaching on the life of Ruth, and how this bad start, Naomi and Ruth and so on, eventually leads to the marriage of Ruth and Boaz, and then that's the lineage of King David and Jesus. And so there have been really difficult things in my life and in the lives of members of my family, my mother in particular. But these things have worked out for good if you stick with it.
Tell us about. One of the things let's come to the book, because we really wanted people on this community to purchase this book. You can do it online. You see there the purchase call to serve and protect, JV Live. There we are. You can see that there. Where is it? Buy on Waterstones. Right, and here it is. Here is the book. It's a big, thick tome. Let me just have it, and let me say the writing is big enough to read. It's not tiny. It's a large thing. It's a great thing to read on a summer holiday. Take that with you by the pool. Do not get too close to the pool. Throw it in. It doesn't do well with that. But John, I just one of the things that interests me. You're a very funny man. You're a very engaging man. You're a very open man. You're very well read. You embrace new ideas constantly. You're never standing still. That's what it feels to me. And this book, when it came to writing it, what came to your mind about why you should write it? Why should you, at 80 years old, be writing a book? That's the key.
Well, three years ago, as usual, reading my Bible at 3:30 in the morning, Nicky Gumbel through the Bible in a year, and the strap line for that day was "Your story has power," and he was talking about the power of testimony. And I thought, I've lived an amazing life, and I ought to tell my story. And so during lockdown, I wrote the story, and in a sense, the rest is history, because I sent it off to Austin Macaulay, and they agreed to publish it, and that's where we are now. It's my story. The reason for telling it is the influence of God over my life and the wonderful things that I've been led into. I also talk about some bad things as well, but all things work together for good to them that love God.
I think that's that. But what were the difficulties in writing it? What did you find on a practical? So we've written 2 books, and we were trying to write the 3rd one, and we just haven't started writing it yet. We haven't got down to it. Sue's been burying too many people, I think. But what were the difficulties for you?
Well, in a sense, it's getting the memories together and making sure that what you're talking about really happened. It's not a figment of your imagination. I had already written some stuff about my travels overseas, but I've always told a good story, so it was all there. And what a lot of people have said now, people who know me, said that you must have an amazing memory for detail, because there's lots of details about events that have taken place in my life, in the police service, in the service of the Lord, and many answers to prayer and many amazing things, like the miracle of the van when we were going on a mission, that it ran out of steam, and we prayed that God would use us to set Lowestoft on fire for Jesus. The others had gone ahead of us, and we were in this van, and it stopped somewhere in Lincolnshire, and we cleared the carburetor, it started again until eventually it wouldn't go. And we'd had these amazing prayer meetings beforehand, and so I said, let's just ask the Lord to make the van go. The start, it went all the way to Lowestoft, and that week, every time we thought we were doing a great job, the van stopped in an embarrassing place, and God reminded us that it's all about Him. And I hope that the book reminds people that my life has been all about Him. I certainly had the opportunity in those 2 radio interviews to talk very openly about my faith. And I enjoy writing anyway. I don't like the writing in the police service, different things, professional things, as part of my role within the police service.
Thank you. That just going to put a pause on there, and it does pertain to this next song I'm going to do. And this is a song that I go way back, All That Matters, and I've done it for so many years from the album All That Matters, written by Judy Mackenzie, done, and it talks about finally, my Maker is my Saviour, my Creator is also my friend. To find Him and His favour is all that matters in the end. And this is for...
This one is for Dan Bellamy. He suggested this one, which was a good idea, Dan. But also Carolyn Varco loves this one. And also Judy Steele, you said that this would be a good one for you. So for all of you who love this song, this one is for you.
Here's life in all its mystery, the beauty and the tragedy, the silence and the symphony, and everything between. And deep inside the heart of man, the need to know and understand that we are part of some great plan, or just a passing dream. Philosophers philosophize, but rarely look you in the eyes. And politics is compromise that rides the ebb and flow. And money talks and fashion screams to fill the space inside your dreams. If you want something to believe, I'll tell you what I know. My Maker is my Savior, my Creator is also my friend, and to find Him and His favor is all that matters in the end. are the age decrees. We may not speak in certainties, but that's what Jesus is to me. He's the bedrock of my soul, a Savior who can really save, a power stronger than the grave, the greatest gift I'll ever have, the deepest joy I know. My Maker is my Savior, my Creator is also my friend, and to find Him and His favor is all that matters, is all that matters, is all that matters. In the end.
I love that.
Little touch of Debussy there.
Little touch of Debussy at the end.
And I've got to take my tablets. We're going to come back, and we've got in the studio right now, we have via Zoom from Derbyshire, from his farm in Derbyshire, we have the lovely John Bown. We're going to continue. John, I'm going to ask you a question. I'll take my tablets, and you can talk to me about this. One of the most fascinating stories, I think, is yours and Margaret's survival in when you were brought. Well, I'm not going to talk. Tell us about the story, because it's going to be in your book. I know.
It is. In April 1997, Margaret and myself were sat in a restaurant, Blue Tops in Addis Ababa. We were there with my colleague Blair and his wife Pam, and I'd found this restaurant, beautiful Italian restaurant, and we'd had a successful workshop. I wanted to celebrate it. My wife had arrived and Pam had arrived, so it was a good thing to do. And in the event, it turned out not to be, because sadly, we were on the receiving end of a terrorist attack. So we were sat around the table, about ready to get our meal, when my colleague's wife said, "Oh God, it's a bomb." And I looked down and I saw a very bright, shiny hand grenade roll to a standstill about 6 to 8 inches from my right leg. And there was a puff of smoke, and I just felt an overwhelming feeling of despair. No time to think about the past life, as some people say, because it was instant. It knocked me unconscious. There's a blank there. I think that the human body protects itself. So I have no recollection of feeling what it must have been like to be hit by a load of shrapnel and the blast and everything. But I was bleeding profusely. I was told about 50% of my blood had 37 significant wounds.
Goodness
and
gracious.
the lady in charge of the intensive care unit expected that we'd die that night. You got to understand that in the third world environment, you don't have things like ambulances and the like. And it took me personally from about 7:30 to 10:30 to get any treatment. A part of that delay was the fact that the police wouldn't let me go, because they said, "You may die before you've given us a statement." My colleague had already gone, and so there's no fight left in you. Let's face it. When you've been blown up by a hand grenade and you've somehow miraculously survived, and at one stage you've said to your wife, "I'm dying," and I expected to be with the Lord, then I had no argument. If I was going to live, I was going to live. Which I did. So, I'm here by the grace of God. It was a miracle, really. And
Margaret was quite badly injured as well, wasn't she?
She got a piece of marble from the floor stuck in her leg. She didn't get any shrapnel, because I must have moved very quickly and got in the way of the shrapnel. But, and as we talked before, she played dead. It hadn't obviously knocked her unconscious. She climbed under a table. She thought there might be more bombs, and she found she was bleeding. She took off her underskirt and wrapped a tourniquet around her leg. And then she didn't answer my calls when I was trying to find her. And I was so overwhelmingly sad because I thought, the reason for my wife's death, and how would I live with that? But it anyway turned good, and we're here.
Well,
And,
yeah, but yes, but the detail of it, I mean, it feels like you're skirting out. This is a massive thing. Because when things like this happen to you, they leave you with all kinds of thoughts. What were you've got 3 hours between explosion and treatment. You've got 39, is it 37 or 39?
Yeah, 30 something.
37 significant wounds. You've lost 50% of your blood. They're refusing to give you treatment. What's going on in your head?
I'm just the fact that I'm still alive, and God has brought me through this far, and He will still do so. It's not complicated, is it? You're still breathing, And I didn't. At one stage, I found it extremely difficult to breathe. I've read that it's something called something to do with the lungs. Anyway, it's the explosion forces the air out of your lungs by the explosion, and also sucks it out because it uses all the oxygen. Concussion of the lungs, I think, is what they call it. And sometimes people do die from it. And I was just gasping for breath. And I said to Margaret, I'm dying. And, she took hold of my hand. She didn't say anything. I said, Lord, forgive my sin, receive my soul. And I waited to die. And she had the words of a hymn going through her mind. How sweet the name of Jesus sounds in a believer's ear. It soothes his sorrows, heals his wounds, and drives away his fear. And it did. She didn't say it to me, but somehow there was this. Well, first of all, when I thought I was dying, I wasn't afraid. I thought I would be with the Lord, but I was sad, so I wouldn't see my family anymore, and so on. But so I survived, and the longer you survive, the more positive you are. The next day, lying together, all wired up in the hospital, myself and Blair, we were already talking about the work that we were going to continue to do, with no notion of pulling the plug, and with no idea about thinking it was very bad in this third world country we've been blown up. Those thoughts never went.
It didn't occur to you. So, your feelings? How did you feel towards? Because these are crucial questions for people who are not Christian. We have a revenge culture in our society. We have most of the films that come out, violent films. They are all about revenge. I'm going to get my revenge. It's what we're watching something that called Justified at the moment, and often it's my responsibility to go and kill the person who killed my father, and if he does this to me, I'll do this to him. How does that fit into, because a non-Christian, because we've got a lot of people who are not Christian who watch this and who are listening to you, and they don't know what you're talking about when you say I was going to heaven, and you speak in a language that they don't necessarily understand. How do you talk to them now? Talk to them, to those people who say, and you haven't, the bitterness you talked about not having. Talk to them. What do you say to them?
Well, lots of people are bitter about things that have happened to them. Lots of people go around not forgiving others for what they've done to them. But what you've got to understand is the person who suffers isn't the person that you think needs to forgive. It's yourself. And the lack of forgiveness creates a root of bitterness in us, and it eats away at us. So it's not healthy. A colleague of mine was a former chief officer in the police, and his son was killed on duty in Manchester. He was a detective on the special branch, and bless him, Sir Robin Hope. He wrote a book about forgiveness, and he went to visit the guy who killed his son in prison because he forgave him. And forgiveness is at the heart of the Christian gospel. Jesus Christ died so that our sins might be forgiven. But the Bible says that unless we forgive others, we will not be forgiven ourselves. And it's very good in terms of human behavior and relationships. This bitterness that people have in families and so on, it eats away at people. And forgiveness is the only answer. they were a liberation front, the Oromo Liberation Front, apparently. I mean, they were wanting better terms for their people. They were doing it because they believed in what they were doing. I don't think it's right. I don't think it's ever right to blow somebody up. But on the other hand, I'd recovered. Blair and myself, we never felt any nastiness towards people in Ethiopia. Ethiopians, some people that we know, I mean, the very senior officer in the police came to see us and he just wept because of what his people, he was ashamed that his people had done this to us. But we were saying, look, don't worry about that. We love you. Ethiopians are lovely people. And in a population, it's difficult to explain.
I agree. I agree. I mean, this is right. Go on.
A mate of mine used this expression about these things, Christian. It's better felt than felt. It's the personal experience that's the eye opener. I mean, we never had flashbacks, for instance, and we've never had nightmares or anything like that. The week that we came back, when we came back for treatment, two of our Christian friends, independently, God sent them, and they came and said, "Look, we want to pray with you that you don't get any nasty flashbacks," and they prayed with us, and we never have. It's been quite amazing, really, and
you're a real believer. You are a real believer and a practitioner, if you like, of prayer, aren't you? You are one of the. You go. Just briefly, you go to Chesterfield, don't you, and pray for people in the marketplace.
Myself and a friend for 5 years or more. We have a stall on Chesterfield Market, and we wear Ivy's vests saying "Ask for prayer." And we've had some amazing stories. This business of forgiveness has been critical in one at the moment. I'm dealing with a bloke who comes from a poor area of Liverpool, where if people do you down, you do them down, or you do them down worse than they've done you. And he's constantly eating at him in his relationship. And I pray with him every week, and it's like I'm giving an injection of love and forgiveness. But then by the time the next week comes, he's bitter again. And I'm trying to get him to understand that he doesn't need me to take him to the throne. He can get there personally himself, but he's still holding on to all these problems of the past, all these hurts and bitternesses that he has. And God, I'm just praying that God will remove it from him and clear him of all that nasty stuff that's affecting the way he relates to other people. I mean, and I, with the case, this guy who, first time we saw him, he said to us, "Don't expect me to so-and-so will ask for prayer because I'm an atheist." And before long, I mean, he was shouting to us, "Hey, God's answered your prayer." And in the final analysis with him, we found that he'd got suspected lung cancer. I ended up taking him to hospital for a scan. I took him to see the consultant. I took him for the operation. I prayed with him before he had the operation. I'd had a long discussion between Chesterfield and Sheffield about the Lord and so on. And he said, "Well, John, I realise I might die having this operation. If I do, I know where I'm going, But, I mean, he wouldn't have passed a test on theology, would he? It doesn't matter, does it? You don't need to pass a test on theology. The blind man said, "One thing I know, whereas I was blind, now I see." And that's the power of testimony, isn't it? I can preach till I'm blue in the face about what the Bible says, but it's changed lives that influence people. And, he came to our church, say thank you to God that he got rid of the cancer. He came for a meal to our house. He had a Sunday lunch with us, as you've had a Sunday lunch with us.
Oh, what an epic Sunday lunch, yes.
Yeah. And he said he hadn't had a Sunday roast since he'd left home at the age of about 20, which was many, many years ago, And on the way back to drop him off, this was just before lockdown, he said, "John, in all my life, I've never had a friend like you." And I was really moved because I thought I was doing so little for him. I wish I could do so much more. He was a guy with a completely chaotic lifestyle. And it was very sad. And in fact, during lockdown, he died. He died not of COVID, but he died of a brain hemorrhage. But I was one of only myself and my wife and 3 of his neighbours and the local authority person who arranged the funeral were the only people there. And because I was able to talk to her and say, well, yes, he did have a faith, then I gave the eulogy and I picked the hymns that we had at the funeral. That's just contact with people, out there. God isn't a God who's stuck within the four walls of the church, thankfully. And I've had vast amounts of experience of finding God outside of the church. That's the best place to be, isn't it?
It's much better. I find it much easier place to find God actually than in it.
It is.
This book, just in conclusion, because we've got to finish up tonight. It seems to me that you have a massive story to tell. People are interested in your story because of the man that you are. You just said change lives, influence people. Change lives, change lives. Change lives, influence people. And I think that is often, that is the thing. If people can see the truth in your life, then, the words are cheap. Change is difficult, but it's so possible. All things are possible with God. But this final thing before we go, what's your vision for this book? As you remember, it's called "To Serve and Protect" by John Bown. Really lovely presentation of a book too, well presented, and I know that you're going to love this book as you order it for friends, order it for presents. It's going to be a real blessing to you. But what's your vision for this book as we say goodbye to you?
I think I'm hoping that it opens up a new ministry. It already has done, hasn't it? Because I've been on local radio twice. I'm offering to give talks when I sell the book. I'm starting to get interest in that. I'll go up 100 miles anyway, and beyond that, they might have to pay for some overnight accommodation for me or something. So it's the beginning of a new phase of my life, and I'm writing a novel. I've already written a children's book or a trilogy of children's books. And Austin McCauley have said if this book's successful, they want first refusal on anything else that I've written. So I'm busily writing this book about a modern day Job. It's called Conviction, Confession, Redemption. And it deals with the issue of why bad things happen to good people and how they can cope with that. And it's got action in Jamaica, in London, and in Derbyshire. And I'm quite
and there's
excited.
nothing like action in Derbyshire, is there? Let's be honest.
No.
Derbyshire's the place to be. As we found out, John.
You can only write about what you are familiar with, can't you?
True, that's true. Well, listen, John, it's been a pleasure having you on again. And I know Sue's here. She's not asked any questions.
Yeah.
But
John, I didn't want to interrupt because I know it's difficult to hear on Zoom, but the messages that are coming through are just that you have been such an inspiration tonight. People have really enjoyed listening to you. Lots of people have already bought the book. Whilst you've been talking, they've gone on and bought it. So I suspect that your sales will have gone up tonight. Okay. But we love you and thank you so much for just being yourself, actually, but being the true man of God that you are, and the difference that makes in people's lives. So,
and Margaret too. I said what a solid woman. I love Margaret. I think I love her more than you, actually, John. Sorry, but I've got to say that.
So do I. Just as well, isn't it?
Just as well in it, mate. All right. Well, Governor, it's lovely to have you on.
Thank you so much.
We'll speak to you very soon. We're coming up in December.
We are.
I think
November.
November. Tickets available, as they say.
They are, and we've already sold 15 actually, but they are.
Excellent.
Excellent. Well, we look forward to coming up to see you again.
And you can join us for those Saturday morning sessions, that we have here. We had a big one the other day, and a new story came out about my mother. My cousin told me this. On this the day before, the teacher had hit my brother Sam at the side of the head with a book, and he was about 6 or 7 at the time. The next day, they're in class, and suddenly the door bursts open, and she says, Aunt Lillian, that was my mother, storms in, walks up to the front of the class, picks up a book, hits the teacher at the side of the head, and says, now thou knows what it feels like. Don't ever do that to my son again. He turns round and walks back out. Now, she'd walked 3 miles from the farm to the school and 3 miles back just to say that, to stand up for her son. What about that, Dick?
How about
What
that?
a fantastic woman. The more I hear about your mother, the more I think she's an amazing woman.
Yeah, there's so many stories. Get this book, read it, and give some reviews on here. We'll read them out.
Oh, please
and
do
we'll keep
that.
promoting it.
Desperate for people to review, because in the books that's in the top 100, there's only me not got any reviews. That's because I'm the only one in the top 100 where it's a book that's only just come out, you know.
Yeah.
So we want
I'm
reviews
floating
online.
in and out
Read
of
it
the top.
and write about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll do that. We'll get them done. John, it's been a pleasure having you.
Bless you. Love
Thanks
to Margaret.
so much. Love to Margaret, and I'll look forward to the Sunday lunch.
There she is, the lovely Margaret.
Oh,
Hello,
Margaret.
Margaret.
This. Tell you what, don't invite yourself, but get them to invite you. You'll have the lunch to die for. Right, we got to go. We got to sing a couple of songs before we do, and here's one which is.
It is. P, we love you. We're so sad that you're so frail, feeling so uncomfortable, and feeling so bad with this nasty infection that you've had for such a long time. Those of you who pray, please be praying for P. And those of you who don't, then please just send positive thoughts his way, because he feels worse than when he went into hospital. And he really just needs to gain strength again and to kick this nasty lung infection to touch. So, P, this one's for you, lovey.
I want Jesus to walk with me. I want Jesus to walk with me all along my pilgrim journey. Oh, I want Jesus to walk with me. In my sorrows, walk with me. Oh, in my sorrows, walk with me. Oh, when my life is filled with sadness, I want Jesus to walk with me. Oh, in my trials, walk with me. Oh, in my trials, walk with me. Oh, when the shades are falling, I want Jesus to walk with me. My sorrows, walk with me. Oh, in my joys, walk with me. Oh, in my trials, oh Lord, walk with me. Oh, I want Jesus to walk with me. I want Jesus to walk with me. kings, majesty, God of heaven, living in me, gentle Savior, closest friend, strong deliverer, beginning and end. All within me cries out in praise, Your Majesty. I can but bow, I lay my all before You now. In royal robes I don't deserve, I live to serve Your Majesty. I live to serve Your Majesty. Well, we're coming to the end of the evening, I think, actually. I'm tired, my voice is done, and it's time to wind up, I think. And what I would like to do is just do the two songs before we go. And I'd like to thank Sue for making sure everything was in order, and Rachel for turning up, for Claire and Ben in the waiting room who did Operation Zoom, I believe, and it's been lovely having them. And tomorrow we go away for an 11-day holiday. This is our long holiday, and we're just going to sit by the beach in the rain and have the occasional ice cream, a salad for lunch, and just relax. Sue's going to read. I'm going to listen to classical music until it's coming out of my ears, read the occasional book, and then we'll come back to you. I think in the middle of August for another show. And it's Ben, isn't it? Yeah. And Ben's going to come with a super wonderful presentation of what's been going on in Mars. And I think there's a co-op being established on Mars. That's the news, isn't it? What? The real problem is parking. And we go like this. Go peaceful in gentleness through the violence of these days. Give freely, show tenderness in all your ways. Through darkness, in troubled times, let holiness be your aim. Seek wisdom, let faithfulness burn like a flame. God speed you, God lead you, and keep you wrapped around His heart. May you be known by love. Be righteous, speak truthfully in a world of greed and lies. Show kindness, see everyone through heaven's eyes. God hold you, enfold you, and keep you wrapped around His heart. May you be known, my love. Lord bless you and keep you. It's old school, this, isn't it? No backing tracks. The Lord make his face to shine on you. The Lord bless you and keep you and give you his peace. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord turn his face toward you. The Lord bless you and keep you and give you his peace and give you his peace. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine on you. The Lord bless you and keep you and give you his peace and give you his peace. Thank you so much. God bless you. And good night for tonight. See you soon in August.
Love you lots, everyone.
Bye-bye now.
Thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you on the 13th. Bye.